Hello guys, good evening to all. How are you guys? Hello SK Mohammed, how are you? Hello guys, good evening. Hello to all. Okay, so today guys is basically day 3. So what we'll be going to do today is we'll be just going to learn about some more advanced thing about Python, and I'll be even going to share some interviews question with all of you. Like if you'll be just going to apply for a job or something, so at that time you basically had the interview will basically going to ask you some coding questions. So what kind of coding question will like going to look like at that time, like what kind of a problem they'll be going to give you, and there are like chances the questions that I'll be going to share with you over here, you'll be going to get same kind of a question over there also. Okay, because in coding, like after this thing, after this interview part, uh, majorly in the coding they basically look for your logic building skills, that will you be able to build a logic or something or not. But it's okay if you'll be not able to do the proper code, but if you was able to do, I can basically say 70 to 80% of the code. It's not like that you basically have to do the proper code, the you basically have to generate the same result that they are asking for. It's even okay if you'll be not able to do it, but you'll be able to solve it. Okay, so that is the main thing. So now, so let's just start today's session. So what we'll be going to do. Okay, yeah, so till now, like all of you is aware about what are like functions in Python, right? And we have even seen what are basically loops in Python. But today we'll be going to learn something which is like a lambda function. What is lambda function? This thing we'll be going to do today. So let us just say, okay, all right, guys. So what I'll be just going to do, let us just say if I have a list, if I have some kind of a list, it can be of anything. Let us just say result I basically have, all right, or let us just say result I basically have, and I basically have a list over here. The list is basically X. So let's just say my X will going to be, yeah, this is full screen, right? Okay, and this is like basically going to be comma 7. I hope this is visible. Okay, now this is basically your result, and this is basically your list that you basically have over here. Now what we'll be going to do, we'll be just going to multiply each element by 2. So for that, what we'll be going to do, we'll be going to use a for loop. Okay, now for let us just say num in X. If I'm doing for num in X, what num will basically going to do, num will simply going to iterate through each and every element. All right, so how it will basically going to look like, so I'll be just going to do print num multiplied by 2. So you'll be able to see that we have multiplied each and every element with 2. Okay, but let us just say if I want to store this result, because just see right now it is just printing it over here, but I want to store it somewhere. So what I'll be going to do, I have basically created this list, that is the result list. So I'll be just going to append it over here. So what I'll be going to do for storing the result, I'll be just going to do result dot append X multiplied by 2. Okay, and I'll be just going to, sorry, not X, it should be num. Now I'll be just going to print this result for you. All right, so the same result we are getting. Now if you want, you can even you can basically even add this thing in a function also. But instead of for loop, is there something else that we can use for the same problem statement? So the answer is yes, we can basically use. So what thing we'll be going to use over here? That is known as lambda function. Sometimes basically what happen, the interviewer will tell you that you have to use lambda function over here in this problem statement. So at that time you have to use the lambda function. So how lambda function will going to look like, how we'll be able to do the same thing over here? Just see this thing now. We'll be just going to, yeah. So what we'll be basically just going to do, guys, over here is we'll be simply, just one second. Yeah, we'll be simply going to, let us just say, write a variable double underscore lambda, because we are like multiplying it. So I'll be just going to write lambda and this thing. Okay, this is what I'll be basically going to do. Now let us just say how I'll be going to call it. Just one second. So I'll be simply going to call this thing double lambda, right? And I'll be just going to call one more thing over here. That is basically going to be my this list. Okay, X. But over here, if I'll be just going to call it like this, just see, it is basically giving me result like this. Okay, because we are passing the list over here, the numbers that we have. Now for getting the result, what we basically have to do, we first have to convert it in a list also. And one more thing we'll be going to do, we'll be going to use one thing that is going to be map. Okay, just one second. Now just see, so what map basically used to do, it basically going to the lambda function that you will be going to use over here. It will be just going to filter out those values. We are just mapping it. We are just mapping it through all of these numbers that we have. Okay. So this is basically nothing but this is basically your lambda function that we'll be going to use. I'll be going to give you multiple examples also. I'll be just going to give you multiple examples also with respect to the lambda. All right. So this is basically what? This is basically your lambda function over here. So if interviewer will going to ask you that you basically have to use this thing. Okay. You basically have to use lambda function only. So at that time you will be going to use. All right. Let's just say I'll be just going to write another function. I'll be just going to write that is going to be double, and I'll be just going to write X over here, and I'll be simply going to return X multiplied by 2. Okay, but just see, if I'll be just going to multiply this X, I'll be just going to call this double and the X. Okay, it will going to give me a result like this, that this was my list. What I have did over here is it has basically multiplied it. It has just multiplied it by 2. That means these things are again getting repeated. So the same list we are getting 2 times over here. Lambda, Sonali, just see, lambda is basically again a Pythonic way. This is nothing special, but it is again a loop. You can consider it as a loop only. It is nothing but a loop, but it is again a Pythonic way of writing things. That's it. If you'll be going to use for loop, it will even going to give you the same result. But sometimes what happen, the interviewer will ask you that you have to use lambda only over here. That is the main thing. So why it is not giving me result? Because if I'll be just going to apply map over here, okay, so it will map each and every value inside it, and it will multiply it by 2. Okay, sorry, map double, and we basically have to give over here number, that which function you basically want to use and which is basically your list. So this function will be going to use, and we'll be going to use X. So what it has basically did over here, let me just like show you. If I'll be just going to store it in a variable, doubled numbers, and if I'll be just going to call this one, it will not going to show you because it is being stored over here in a map. So for calling a map, you basically have to put a list before it. So now it is showing us. So wherever you will be going to use map, you have to give two things. The first thing is basically the function name. The second one is the variable where you have basically stored your data set. Okay. One multiplied to, okay, just see, 1 multiplied by 2. It is 2. Why it will give 1? Okay. Now, so same thing we have did over here with the lambda function, and same thing we have did with a normal function and with a loop also. So multiple things I'm basically giving you over here. So you'll be able to relate these things and you'll be easily able to understand that what we are basically doing over here. Now, let us just say if I have a list, the name is like list 1. Okay. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Now I have to find even numbers over here. As a fresher, if you are giving an interview, the interviewer will going to give you a list and he or she will basically going to ask you, okay, do one thing, find even numbers from this list. Okay, so what you will be going to do, let's just do one thing, let's just write a direct function for it. So we'll be just going to find is even number, and I'll be just simply going to write the variable that I'll be going to use, and I'll be just going to create a list that is going to be my result over here, and I'll be just going to iterate this x value that I basically have over here, list 1. So for num in x, do one thing, result dot append num percentage 2 is equal to 0 and return result. So if I'll be just going to do this thing, that I'll be just going to check, just see, I'll be just going to check 1 percentage 2 is equal to 0. So it is returning me false. It is just checking that whether this number is divisible by 2 or not. That's it. Okay. If I'll be just going to check it with 2, so it will going to return me true. Right? Now, just see one thing. So I'll be just going to simply call this function and I'll be simply going to call this list inside it. So it is basically returning me false, true, false, true, false, true. Which number is basically true, which number is basically false. This is what it is basically returning over here. Okay. Or if you want that, yeah. So over here it is returning true and false. But if you just want to write numbers inside it, what we can do at that time, just see if num. So I'll be just going to write a if statement over here. If num percentage 2 is equal to 0, then do one thing, result dot append num. Okay, so it will just going to give me the even numbers. Previously we was just checking whether it is true or whether it is false, but right now what we are doing, we are just appending those numbers who are even. And let us just say same thing, if you have to find odd numbers, so if num percentage 2 is equal to 0, or what you can do is not equal to 0, that means the number is not divisible by 2, then append it, so you will be going to get odd numbers. So this is again an interview question, guys. Okay, so now the same thing, how we can like do it with Lambda. Let us just even try to understand this thing. Is even Lambda is basically going to be Lambda like this. Now how will be going to call it? Can anyone tell me how we'll be going to call it? The same thing that I have shown you. How we'll be going to call this Lambda 1, guys? Guys, tell me. What do you think? How we'll be going to call this one? Okay. So Bhavesh is basically saying map, and we have to call is this one, and we have to call our number list, that was list 1, right? Okay. And SK Muhammad is saying that I basically have to write list in front of it. Okay, that is right. Okay, yeah, right. So this is how we'll be going to call it. Now let us just say if I basically have a list. Okay, now there is one more caution that is like very popular, in this thing, in interviews. I'll be even going to share with you that. So let us just say I now basically what I basically have to do. I basically have to do one thing, that if I have a word pop, if I'll be just going to reverse it, so how it will going to look like pop. I have just explained you Muhammad over here. If we'll be just going to call this map, just see it is stored the values inside it. But if you want to look it inside it, you have to call list. So just see guys, these two, if I'll be going to reverse it, it will just going to look like the same only. Yes. So this is basically known as palindrome. That if you'll be going to reverse a particular string or something, it should be the same only. Okay. So we'll be just going to check this thing with a function def is palindrome. We'll be going to check with loop. Let us just say we'll be first going to apply a loop. So we'll be just going to provide a string s over here, and after that what we'll be going to do, we'll be basically going to create a result. Okay, and we'll be basically simply going to do, yeah, for I can basically say a string in s. That means one by one I'll be just going to do this thing. Result dot append string, and the string that we are checking, this should be equal to a string. This is basically the reverse this thing code that you'll be going to use. Let me just show you this thing. If I have this s, if I'll be going to do apply this thing with s, it will going to return me the same thing. But what if s is basically going to be, now if I'll be going to call it, so just see, this is not a palindrome. Okay, but this is a palindrome. So is palindrome, we'll be going to check over here, and we'll be simply going to provide s. So it is saying all are basically true. Sorry, I have executed this one. Okay, that means it is a palindrome. Now the same thing how we'll be going to do with respect to lambda. Let's just even see this thing. Yeah, is palindrome lambda, and I'll be just going to use lambda over here. Okay, this thing. Now how I'll be going to use it? Map okay, so it is basically going to show you true, 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 right? So this is basically what? This is basically a palindrome over here. Okay. Now, like this is again a way what, but you can basically do over here. Just see if it is like true over here, we can like add a statement that if a string is equal to then result dot append true, else result dot append false. Okay, invalid syntax. Okay, but if I'll be just going to call let's upgrade now, just see. Okay, again it is showing true. Okay, okay, just wait 1 second. We'll be simply going to sort this thing out. So this is a string, so we'll be simply going to do if s is equal to s minus 1, right? Print this is a palindrome, else print this is not a palindrome. Okay, so this is not a palindrome, the let's upgrade that you have passed, but as reverse, if I'll be going to pass, it will going to show me it is a palindrome. Okay, the same thing. Now so this is basically your lambda function that you will be going to use over here, guys, right? Yes, so over here what we are doing, like there are multiple ways of solving one particular problem, so that is completely your choice which one you basically want to choose. Okay, now yes, but right now we are checking the whole string. Okay, so now we have one more thing in Python that is really important if you want to go in Python, that is date time. How many of you are aware about date time, guys? First tell me this thing. Are you guys aware about date time? What is date time in Python? Yes. So date time is really important, guys. What date time basically used to do is, if you are working in real time, if you're working in real life, so at that time whenever you are getting the data, so you even have to store one thing in your data set, in your database. Okay, if no one is aware about it, I am explaining you these things, that if you have a database, let's just say the database sorry, yeah, let's just say the database can be anything. Sorry, the database can be anything. Let's just say it can be SQL and NoSQL. and it can be NoSQL. Okay, now if I just talk about SQL, MySQL is there, right? If I just talk about NoSQL, MongoDB is there. So whenever you will be going to store a data in real life, at that time you have to store one thing also, one key also, that is going to be date. Or let us just say if you have a date like this, 21 March 2024, or let us just say like this, but you know the format, that the first thing is going to be date, the second thing is going to be month, and the third thing is going to be year. Now you have to store it in a date time format. Date time format is basically what? Let us just say we have a list, right? We have basically a tuple, we even have dictionary. So like this we have date time also. So your seniors will like going to ask you, okay, you have to store it in date time only, and if the date time is like this, first you have to convert it into date time, then you will be going to store it. That is the main thing. Okay, so let us just try to solve some problem with date time. So if you are working in your local system, and if you'll be just going to import, date time, so over here it will going to get imported because Google Colab have most of the libraries are installed over here. But if I'll be just going to do pip uninstall, pip is basically a package. With the help of this thing, you will be just going to install any kind of a library. So this is nothing but a library you can consider. Okay, so right now it is not uninstalling it, but it's okay. But what I'm trying to say over here is that if this library is not installed in your local system, you can simply use pip install datetime. Okay, now what I'll be just going to do, I have already imported the datetime. Now I have dates like this. So let us just say I have some dates, datetime dot date, like this is your one day, and similarly we have multiple dates. So like this, I basically have multiple dates, these dates. So now what I have to do is I basically have to find from all of these dates which date was weekend. Okay, what I basically have to find over here is that what dates was weekend. So let us just do one thing, weekdays. I'll be just going to create a list, and I'll be just simply going to do for date in dates. Obviously this thing will be going to do, right, that we have to iterate each and everything. And if I'm doing date time, okay, the format will be in date time. Just see, this is the date time. Okay, the type is date time. Whenever you are entering a date in, as a Python developer, right, this is your responsibilities. As a Python developer, this is your responsibility to so the data type of each and everything should be accurate. If you are entering a date, if you are updating a date or something, the format should be in date time only. As a Python developer, this is your roles and responsibilities. Okay, now for date in dates, that means one by one we'll be going to iterate it. And what we'll be going to do, we'll be just going to do if date, that means this date that we are capturing, right, if date dot weekday This is the inbuilt function, nothing else. Less than 5. Okay, then just do one thing, week days dot append date dot, or we can just simply append date also, or let us just do one thing also. Yeah, just see. Okay, so these was your what, these was your weekdays, and the rest of the things whichever we have, that was your weekend. All right, so this is how this thing is basically going to work. Otherwise you can basically simply check over here. Otherwise you can like simply check over here. Weekdays, Monday, Tuesday, this thing we can basically write over here, so you can basically get a clear understanding. So single date we'll be just going to check over here. Single date dot no, just see. Oh, okay. One thing you basically have to understand, guys, over here, whenever you'll be going to check this date time module, right? This method basically, I can basically say it return you an integer. That is like Monday represented to 0, and Tuesday represented to 1, and Wednesday represented to 2. So we are saying that if the less than 5, okay, then return it. It return you integer. Just say. Like it will be your 0, it will be 1, 2. Similarly the end, this one will going to be 3, this one will going to be 4, this one will going to be 5, this one will going to be 6. Okay, like so we'll be simply going to check single date dot weekday. So it is returning me 5. This date was weekday or not, so it is saying 5. Okay, so this is how it will going to basically work. Now let us just say if you basically want to print today's date, so this is basically going to be how you'll be basically going to print today's date is datetime dot date, and I'll be just going to write okay today. Right, so this is basically today's date. Okay, but what if, yeah, and what if I basically want to check like what is the like this thing over here. All right, no guys, it's not happening in the house. Basically there's a construction going uh, beside this thing, beside my building, so that's the sound of it. Like they are doing some kind of a construction. Really sorry about it, the sound that you are like facing and all. It's not in my house. Okay, Okay, now let us just say I have two dates now, guys. Okay, date time underscore one I have, and I have one more date also. So first of all, let's just convert it into date time. Guys, just see if I'm able to use this thing dot today, right? Just see if I just simply have a date, if I simply have this kind of a date, and I'll be just going to do dot today. Okay, so it is giving me that tuple object has no attribute today. What does this thing means? Because just see this thing, if we are calling this dot today, this only works if you are passing it a format of date time. Okay, if you'll be going to convert your date into date time format, only then you will be able to use these inbuilt function, because we are using date time library, right? Now I have two dates. So first I have to convert it into date time. So date time dot date time. So over here, what I have did, I have just imported date, import date time, like this I have did. But two times I'm basically calling it. So you can do one thing, from date time import date time. So now I'll be just going to call it one time. Yes, date is a tuple, but just see, it is just a simple tuple. We haven't converted it into a date time. That's why. This is a date time. This is the date time format. This is not tuple. This is not anything. This is the data type, date time. This is simple a tuple, the example that I was giving you over here. All right. Now I have two dates. Let us just say 2024, comma 5, comma 18, comma 10, comma 0. Date time underscore 2. So I have now, let us just say 12, 30. Now who will going to tell me, okay, this is basically going to be your year, this is month, this is your date. What are these things? Who will going to tell me? Okay, Bhavesh is saying it is time. What about others? Okay. So this is your hours and minute. So I have two dates for now. Now basically I have to check the time difference between it. So what I'll be going to do, time difference, I'll be just going to call over here, and I'll be simply going to do date 2 minus date 1. So that is this seconds. Okay. Now if you have a same date time like this, just see. Now we have to convert it into a proper format so everyone will be able to understand. So what we'll be going to do, let us make it 12:30 over here. So what we'll be going to do is this time we'll be going to do str f time, and we'll be simply going to do f time, we'll be going to do f time, and we'll be going to do, first I want percentage year, and after that I want percentage month, then hour, then minute, and then I basically want after minute I basically want percentage second. All right, so right now it will be able to give you in a proper format. Just see that this is your date and this is your time. So this thing, now you'll be able to see this thing. the data will be in this format. The client will going to give you a data set in this format, but you have to store it in this format in your database. Yes, Sonali, just like in SQL. So as a Python developer, these kind of a jobs you'll be going to do. Okay. Now let us just copy these things. Now, sorry, what? Now tell me guys, from this thing, if I have to find which one was the minimum date, so what I'll be going to do? What I'll be going to do guys, if I have to find which is the minimum date? Guys, if I have to find the minimum date, what I'll be going to do over here? So it is simple. I just have to write minimum, and I'll be just going to call this one. So just see, right? If I'll be just going to copy and paste it, and I'll be just going to write it here. This is nothing, Sonali, but this just gives you the format of time. In this proper format, it will going to give you. All right. So this is basically your date time. So now the one thing is basically, now tell me guys one thing, how many of you are aware about JSON in Python? Okay, Mohammed Amir is know about JSON. So JSON is what guys? JSON is nothing but JSON is a dictionary only, nothing else. Multiple dictionaries is going to be JSON. Let me just show you this thing. Okay, but just see guys, why I'm telling you these things, because in real life you'll be going to work with JSON only. Okay, so just see, this is my JSON data. This is how it will going to look like. What are these things? If I will just ask you, let's just hide it. Okay, don't see that thing. If I will ask you this one, what is this thing now? What is this thing? What do you call this data type? What do you call this data type, guys? Yesterday we have seen, right? Dictionary, right? No, not mixed data. This is, but just tell me why this is dictionary, why this is not set. Why you are saying this is dictionary, not set? Yeah, right, because of the key and value pair. Okay, now if I just ask you, what is this thing? This is again a dictionary, right? So a combination of multiple dictionaries is known as JSON. Whenever we have multiple dictionaries, we call it a JSON file. Like we was having .csv, right? That is comma separated value. Similarly, we have .json. We have .txt also. Right, guys? So like this, we have JSON only. So let's just clear this thing up. So this is your JSON data, a list of multiple dictionaries. So let's just execute it and let me just show you how does it look like. So if you have a data set like this and you want to convert it into a JSON type, if I'll be just going to print this employee JSON. JSON is used for storing the data only. If you are getting a data from somewhere, if you are not using MySQL, if you are using MongoDB, you have to store data in JSON only. For the mapping purpose, we'll be going to use JSON. Yes, multiple dictionaries will be a JSON. That's it. Okay. Now, I have to convert this into a JSON file now, so you will be clearly able to see it. So for that, we'll be just going to import JSON, and we'll be going to import one thing also. This is nothing. This is again a library. Now what I'll be going to do for writing this thing in a JSON dot so just see, now it is in a JSON format. So if I'll be just going to call this employee variable, just see, this is your JSON. This is how it will going to look like. Okay, this is your data type, which will be going to look like this only. Now if you want to see it clearly, more clearly, so for that we even use one thing. Let's just say print JSON. We'll be going to call JSON dot terms. Will be going to use, and we'll be going to use this employee data. Here we have load. First you have to load it. If you have a data like this, okay, now just see. If I have mentioned indent is equal to 1, you'll be like able to see this is like little bit more nice and clean. If I'll be going to use 2, it is like this, like more spacing you will be able to see. And if I'll be just going to give 4 over here, 4 is majorly that we use, so you'll be able to see it more clearly. There is more spacing, so you'll be able to read each and every record. Pickle is different. You'll be able to see now more clearly, like the spacing is basically there. If I'll be just going to write indent is equal to 1, this is how it will look like. But if I mention indent is equal to 4, All right. Yeah. So this is going to be your JSON over here, guys. Now, this is how data you will be going to get. Now, the main thing that we have to do is we have to fetch data from it. We have to do something with with this JSON. So how we'll be going to do it? Let us just do some exercises now. So I'll be simply going to do name. Let us just say for name. Uh, First, we'll be going to fetch this data for data in employees. Let us just see what it will going to print. What it is printing, guys? Can I say one by one each and every record that was present over there, it is printing that, right or not? Now if I have to print just all the names over here, I only want to print all the names only. Or let us just say, okay, one thing we'll be going to do after this thing, you'll be going to learn something new. So how I'll be able to call these names now? Can I say like this? Now it is just showing me all the names. Okay. Now I have to check basically what are the total number of records. So how I'll be going to check? Can I say simply LAN and employees? I'll be just going to write. So it basically have total 10 records. Now, one thing that you have to do, that is just say calculate you basically have to do one thing over here. You have to calculate the average salary of employee. So if I will ask you that you have these numbers 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 is there. So for calculating the average, we have to divide it by 5. Sorry. Okay, first we have to do the sum of it. Really sorry. Just 1 second, guys. Sum will take, okay, 1 by 1 value it will be basically going to take like this. Sum will going to be so if I just call the sum, this is going to be your sum. That means this is the total salary. If I'll be just simply going to print it 1 by 1, how it will going to look like? Like this, 80,000, 90,000 and these things. But the subtotal is this one. So now if you have to do the average of it, how you will do the average? Can I say we have to divide it with the total number of length that we have calculated over here. So if I'll be just going to do this thing, so this is the average salary of employee, right? Now tell me from this database, if you have a JSON like this, that is multiple dictionaries, if you want to find the maximum salary of an employee, so how you'll be going to do that? if you have to find a maximum salary of an employee, how you will be going to do that? Max. Okay. First, what is the logic that we will be going to use? Just see, if you are saying that we'll be going to use max over here, so let's just see whether it will going to work or not. Okay, what it is saying, just see. Int object is not iterable. No. Just see, this is what you are saying, right? Just one sec. Okay, guys. Just see why it is not working, guys. What do we have to do? Try to build the logic first. We can first loop over employees and make a list. Yeah, Mohammad Amir. Very good. This was like the right answer. What you have to do is, if this is your this thing, right? First, you have to create a list over here. List salary is equal to this thing. And what you have to do over here is, you have to do, sorry, list salary dot append like this. So this is the maximum salary. Okay. So only Muhammad Amir was right. Okay. Now tell me one thing, guys. If I have this data set, I have this data set, right? If I'll be just going to print for data in employees, print data. Now tell me from all of these things what I'm interested in. I'm interested in name, I'm interested in position and the salary. And I want to create a new JSON data out of it. So how I'll be able to do it? From this JSON data, I have to filter things out and I have to make a new JSON data. You don't have to tell me the code. If you'll be able to give me the logic, that will be fair enough. First, I'll be going to create a list, and after that, for data in employees, right? And we basically have to create a dictionary. Dict1 is equal to this much, right? And after that, I'll be just going to do, I am basically interested in, yeah, I'll be just going to extract this thing in like this. Let us just say I'll be going to extract name and position and salary. Okay, salary. And I'll be just no, this will not work like this. Yeah, and I'll be just simply going to hit enter. Now just see, this is my new JSON and I have to like load it. So what I'll be going to do, dump, this command we'll be going to use. That is my new JSON. Just see. So how this code is working, try to understand first thing, guys. First, we have created a new list, right? And we was iterating through all the employees, this thing, this JSON data, right? And we are just particularly calling a particular key, name, position, salary. And once I'll be able to get it, let me just show you this thing. If I'll be just going to print dict1, and I'll be simply going to break. Over here, it was able to fetch one record. So ये one record क्या हुआ? The one record got stored over here. Now, if after this one iteration, if you will be going to print this dict1, right? Just see. It was here. Now, just see, from this salary, it appended salary over here. And after that, what we have did, we have just appended this dict1 in new JSON. But again, when it will going to come over here, it will be a empty dictionary again. And again, we'll be going to fetch the new record. And again, we'll be going to append the new record over here like this. That this was the first record, this was the second record and all. Okay. Yes, you can deliver the output in JSON format also, no problem. But what if, just see, what if I just put this dictionary out of this loop? Okay, now I'll be going to print this new JSON. All right, it is also same. But what if you have multiple records? Okay, just see. Over here, it was not able to fetch all the records. Just see, again and again, run this thing. Oh, really sorry, really sorry. Yeah. Just see, only one record is basically there. Why only one record is basically there, guys? Why only one record is there? Who will going to tell me? Previously, this was my result, but right now, just see, same result we are getting. Why? What do you think? What can be the problem over here? Yes, dict1 is basically not empty and it is overwriting the values. If I just print dict1 again and again, just see. Okay, so over here, it is giving you the unique values. What I have just printed, I have just printed dict1 over here. So it is printing the new values each and every time. But why these values are not getting stored inside this list? Okay. So in actually what was happening? You have fetched this record and it has appended this record over here. It has just like added it over here. Then when it was adding this record was getting overwrite. So this was getting deleted. So it is only showing the last one only. Okay. That's why we have added it inside the loop. So each and every time it will be empty and it will be able to store the proper results. Yes, right, guys. Right. You was also right, guys. Okay. But I have to explain to all, so that's fine. Yeah. All right. Now, simply what we can basically do over here is, now, if you have this JSON data, so what you can do, it was in new JSON, right? So what simply you can do, you can just export this file. How will be going to export? Just see, with open, let's just say you will be just going to do new employees data dot JSON comma method will be going to write it as it will be read also, right? But over here we are writing something, that we are appending something as file JSON dot dump new JSON comma file comma indent is equal to 4. So what we are doing, we have written with open कि हम मतलब एक नई फाइल क्रिएट कर रहे हैं यहाँ पे. ऐसी कोई फाइल like no file was already existed by this name, so we are creating a new file over here and we are writing, we are using w because we are appending something in a new file as the name of file. The file that we are creating right now, we are just giving it as a name of file. This is a format that you have to follow. And what we are doing after that, we are doing json.dump new JSON, this particular list, right? And file, this file that we are reading, and indent 4. Now, if you'll be just going to look into the output, you'll be able to see new employee data.json. And if you'll be going to open it, you'll be able to see that this is your file. And this is the file that you can like download from here. So it will be downloaded in your local system. Now you can share this file through WhatsApp, through the mail, or through anything, whichever you want. Yes, R is reading, W is for writing. Everything is clear till now, guys? Can I get a confirmation? And don't forget to hit the like button, guys. Don't forget to hit the like button, guys. Okay. Now this was about JSON. As a Python developer, you will be going to work with CSV, that is your comma separated value. You will be going to work with Excel file. You will be going to work with JSON file. You will be going to work with TXT file also. Okay. So this was all about like JSON. Now we will be going to work with TXT because you never know that in what kind of a format, in what kind of a file client will going to send you the data. What do you want me to repeat? What I was saying is, as a Python developer, or if you are learning Python, you have to work with multiple files like CSV, that is comma separated value. You have to work with TXT. You have to work with JSON file also that I have just shown you. Yeah, Danish, right? File handling things. So you should be aware about all of these things. Okay. Now, so I have a text data like this. Now, first I have to convert it into a TXT file. Okay. This is basically my Excel, right? Excel is basically the Excel format. If you'll be going to write, if you'll be just going to use Excel, if you're writing something, right? like that. So first we have to create a, let us just say txt file. Will be going to create how, same with open employees underscore. Just give me 1 second, guys, just 1 second. Okay, so what we'll be going to do, first we'll be going to create a employees data dot txt. Don't forget to mention the type over here, like in which type you want to create, whether you want to create in CSV or something else. And we'll be going to write w as file dot write. What we'll be basically going to do, this text data. Now if we'll be just going to look over here, we have two files. Previously we was having one, now we have two. So .txt1 will be going to open. So this is your txt file now. Okay. Now tell me one thing, guys. Can you convert this data in CSV format? Yes or no? How you will be going to, like, you have to create columns. You have to create, how you will be going to do it? Tell me. You have to create first column like this with the help of code only. Like ID, name, age, position, department, salary. And after that, you have to enter all of these records. What is the logic that you will be going to apply? Tell me. Okay, by using comma separation, but how? This is the data. Okay, so let us just do one thing. For I in text data, print I. Yes, Muhammad Amir, you are right. Okay, now, so this is how first we'll be going to split it. So if you'll be just going to print this data like this, okay, it will just going to show you character by character, nothing else. So let us just do one thing. Let us just break this thing out. So lines is equal to text data dot strip dot split. On the next line we'll be going to split first of all. So let us just see whether we got the lines or not. Okay, so we got it in a list. All right, now let us just create. So strip is basically what, if you guys are not aware about, just see just see one thing. What strip usually used to do, if there is any space in the starting or if there is any space in the end, it used to remove that. Okay, so that's why we have used strip over here. Clear? Now, so let's just do one thing. Let's just create a list employees for line in, let us just say lines 1, after skipping the first one, because first line only have the column names. So we are skipping this one, and after that what we are doing, data is equal to line dot split. That means on the basis of this thing we'll be going to split it. Just say, if this is my string, let's just say s like this. So I'll be just going to split it. So just, oh sorry, not by this sign, by this sign. So just see, we got employee ID is one, name is this one, age is this one, software engineer, and this is the salary. So similarly, from this, we are just creating a CSV. Just consider this thing for now. After that, what we'll be going to do, we'll be simply going to create one more list that is going to be employee, and it will be a dictionary. I'll be just going to mention ID. So ID is basically what? Just see, we have to iterate these things now. So int data 0, comma name data. Okay, this thing we'll be going to use over here. So just see, we got it like this for now. And after that, what we can simply do, import pandas spd pd dot data frame employees. Just see. Okay. Do you have any kind of a confusion till now, guys? Anything? If you want me to repeat it again, I can even repeat. If you have any other confusion or something else is there, just simply ask me. What about others also? Okay, yeah. So Bhavesh, just 1 second. Let me just break it over here first of all, so you'll be easily able to understand. If I'll be just going to print, first of all, let us just say line, print line. So one, if I'll be just going to break it, that means one by one it is printing each and everything, right? And if I have written data, and line dot split this one, so it has basically splitted it. Sorry, I basically have to print it also, really sorry. So let me just write some statements over here. This is line print, this is data and print data. So over here, this was this line that we are printing, and this is this data, right? So we have splitted these things on the basis of this sign. We have splitted it. If we have splitted it, it will convert in a list. So this is the indexing. If I'll be just going to call data 0, just see. Till 5 we only have. Sorry. Like this. So just see, it was at the first index. When I printed this data 0, it printed this. And after split, this was at the second index name. So it printed this thing. Same with age, position, and this thing. Okay. Yes, this is what we are doing over here. Okay. Similarly, now you have a data like this. You can like do anything, whatever you want. You can like calculate the average age of people. You can even calculate the salary over here. All right. But if you have converted with respect to pandas, okay, there is a like lot of inbuilt function that you will be going to get. Let me just show you how. Just see, if salary is there, If you have to find the max salary, just do max DFS, that is my data CSV, and just mention one thing. So it was able to give you this one. Previously, what we was doing, we were converting in the loop, then we was finding it out, right? And there is for finding the average also, I think there is something. Like there is inbuilt function, I'm not clear about it. Okay, mean. Yeah. Okay. Mean you can find, median you can find, and mode you can find. I hope you guys are aware about these things, mean, median, and mode. Okay. Yeah. So this is your TXT and JSON and CSV that we have discussed till now. Okay. Now tell me how many of you are aware about regular expressions in Python? Haha, yeah, right. This was in school time. Yes. Okay. Just see, guys. If I have a string, mobile number is of 10 numbers, right? And my pin code is basically of 6 digit, right? This one. So I have this string for now. Yeah, I'm explaining you about regular expression, don't worry. Now just see, from this string, I have to find what is the mobile number and what is the pin code. So how I'll be able to get it? Now this string may have lakhs of records or maybe thousands of records. So what we'll be going to do, simply, if you have to find this thing, only digits. So what you can do over here, you can just import regular expression by doing import RE. And you have to return one regx. Just see, guys. Now it will be able to give me just these numbers. But how this thing is possible? Let me just show you. You can just, oh, sorry. You can just follow this page, guys. Over here, they have explained each and everything about regular expression. That just see what we have did in this code. First, try to understand this one. That we have just written a pattern. That this kind of a pattern I'm looking in this text, right? And what we have did re.findAll. That means from this string, find each and everything. This is the pattern and this is the string, and return me the match. But over here, there are like lot of functions that you should understand about regular expression. Like what? Like find all is there, search is there, split is there, sub is there. So sub is like replace one or many matches with a string. Split is what? Return a list where the string has been split at each match. Now, just see what we have used over here. What we have used over here, this D and plus. What does this stands for? Just see, plus is there, one or more occurrence. You will be going to use whether there is one or more occurrence in it. Then you will be going to use plus. Now, what is this D over here? What is this D over here? Just see. Over here, they have mentioned signals a specific sequence can also be used to escape special characters. This is basically D. That means whenever, just see over here. D is basically what? Return a match where the string contains digit. Wherever the digit is, it will just return you that. Okay, just see, I'll be going to repeat, no problem. This is basically your regular expression. As a Python developer, if you'll be just going to join an industry as a Python developer, you might have to use regular expression. A long text client will going to give you, and they will be going to ask you that we want only this thing. In database, you have to create a separate key with it, and you have to store this value by searching it. So at that time, you have to write a regular expression. Now from this thing, I only want to focus on digits. Like I don't want to focus on alphabets. I just want to focus on digits. Okay. So for that, we use regular expression. We use it, we import it by using import re, and we write some kind of a pattern, and we simply do re.findAll pattern name, comma, the string that you are working with. But like it will going to take half hour or oh, sorry, 1 hour 30 minutes to 2 hours just for regular expression. So you just have to follow this thing. What you have to write is W3 school regular expression in Python. That's it. And over here they have given a beautiful guide, so you'll be able to see these things. Okay, let us just say if you are mentioning a and n like this, return a match for any lowercase character alphabets between a and n. A and n, if there will be any alphabets between a and n, it will going to return that. So let us just paste it. So just see this thing, HELLMN. So everything, if I'll be just going to write ZZZ, it will not going to print this thing. Okay, just see, there is no Z. Okay, so like this, they have given the guide to use regular expressions. Okay, so follow this page if you want. Okay, so you'll be easily able to learn these things. Let us just say, let me just give you one example also over here. If you have this thing, hi, my name is John, and email address is johndoe@somecompany.co.in, and this is another email. Now your job is to find only email addresses. For this, we have written this pattern. Okay, this pattern is basically there, and you'll be just going to execute it. So you'll be able to see it is only able to give me the emails. Now your duty will be that you have to store these emails in a key and value pair in your database. Clear till now, guys? Okay. Now let us just say if I have this list, str1, So this is the interview question, guys. Now what you have to do, you have to find the character occurrence. Let's just say the output should be like this. Like this. Doing is also true. That means they will be going to give you a string and they'll be going to ask you, tell me, you have to return me an output like this, where you are telling that which word is repeating how many times. So what is the logic that you will be going to apply, guys? Tell me. What do you think how it can be done? This is the interview question, guys. Okay, no problem. This is the interview question, guys. For sure, from these things, interviewer will going to ask you these. Okay. Okay. So how is she saying split at a space count in loop? So okay, we'll be going to do this thing also, no problem. All right, now. So let's just write a code for it. Let's just define a function. So it will be count words. Okay, words count we'll be going to write, and we'll be going to do for str1 dot split. Okay, that means we'll be going to split it, and we are basically writing for str1 dot split on a space. We are like splitting it, and what we'll be going to do is we'll be simply going to do if for word in str1 dot split if word in word dot count, if it is there, then just do one thing, word count word plus is equal to 1, else and do one thing, return word count. Now let us just call this function. Just say. So what we are doing, how this thing is basically working, first we have created a dictionary because the output is in dictionary and this output is in a key and value pair, right? Now what we'll be going to do for word in str1 dot split, that means we are iterating it first of all like this, for I in str1 dot split print I. So it will going to print word by word one time. So we are checking if word is in word count. That means if we are doing this thing, if word in word count, that means we are checking a key, whether this key is already present in this dictionary or not. So word count word plus is equal to 1. So if it is present, let us just say hello is present over here, and it was already having the 1 value. So we are just going to increment the value by 1. That means this much time it got repeated over here. Just see, if I'll be again going to write hello over here. So hello will be 3 now. Yes, so we are giving the input and we are getting the output. This is the output that interviewer is telling you to generate. This is what I'm telling you. Interviewer will give you this input and he or she will ask you that you have to generate this output. So at that time you have to do this thing. Okay. One more question will be, yeah. Yes, you are right, Master Art. You are completely right. But just do one thing. You have to do practice with respect to all of these codes. Lead code is basically there. Okay. Just go on lead code. And there is like lot of coding interviews question will be there. Let's just say array and string is basically there. Just click on array and string. So you'll be able to get multiple questions from here only. Okay. There are like 3 modes: easy, medium and hard. Try to solve the easy and medium one. That will be sufficient for you. If you will be able to do the code, if you'll be able to solve the code that interviewer is going to give you, only then they'll be going to hire you, right? No one will going to pay you for learning only. That they'll be going to pay you and they'll be going to ask you, okay, we are paying you, but you just learn over here. So that is not possible, right? You have to give some kind of a output at that time. So right now I know things are like little bit hard and all, but if you'll be just keep going to practice and all, if you'll be just going to solve the lead code questions, if you'll be just going to solve some interviews question, obviously you will be going to build your logic according to it. As a fresher, I have even faced same kind of a problem. Yes, more classes you will be going to get for sure in future. Obviously, maybe like related to interviews and all, interviews question and all, we'll be basically going to do classes. Yeah. So you have to practice. Practice is all in your hand. Now let us just say if I have a list. Last question we will be going to do. Yeah, that's why I'm basically telling you these things. No, just see. This is no. Master Art, just see one thing. This is what? This is a real-time data set. You can consider it. This is also a real-time problem that we have solved over here. That fetching the data, filtering out the data, the JSON data and all. Real-time problem are similar to the basic one only. If you'll be able to build the logic, you'll be easily able to do it. Now tell me one thing. From this list, if someone will going to ask you, just do one thing. Try to find the second largest number from this list. So how you'll be able to do it? If interviewer will ask you that these are the most repeated question that interviewer have asked, this one and this one and even the this one. even the palindrome one also. Okay, so Bhavish is saying sort and get the second number, right? Okay, but just see guys. But what if interview will going to tell you you don't have to use sort? Or what if interview will going to tell you that you cannot use any inbuilt function? So this is the exact question that you have to find the second largest number without using any inbuilt function. Okay. Yes, Danish, right. Bubble sorting you can even try, but at that time interview will going to tell you that you are using two loops over here. Okay. So can you just make it in one loop? So for that solution, I'll be going to tell you. So just see. First, we are considering first we'll be just going to consider a very small number like minus infinite. We'll be going to consider for the second largest, and largest will be just going to consider again the this one. Okay, very smallest number. Now we'll be just going to iterate through this list that we'll be just going to do for num in ARR, and I'll be just simply going to do if num, the number that we have, let's just say 700, if num is greater than largest. So largest is basically what? Just see, largest is right now this one. Bubble sort is basically just 1 second guys. I don't know why it is not working. Inside function, it basically actually works. Bubble sort is basically nothing. These are your this thing only, guys. Algorithms are basically the data structure and types. So it is just a sorting algorithm, nothing else. Okay. Now, so over here we'll be just going to check. Let us just consider all of these numbers as 0 only. That will be also good. So 0, right? We are like considering 0, or let us just say minus 10. Anything you can basically consider. Right now we are considering it as 0. So what we are doing over here, we are comparing that if this number that we have, this 700 is greater than largest or not. So obviously 700 is greater than largest. So we'll be just simply going to replace this value. We'll be going to do second largest will going to be my largest, and largest will going to be my this number that I basically have over here, because 700 is greater than this 0. Okay, this is the if condition, and in the elif I'll be just simply going to write if number, the number that we have, let's just say we are at 8. Okay, if 8 is greater than the second largest se bada hai 8, right, and num is not equal to the largest, then do one thing, second largest is going to be my number and return second largest. So in second largest, I'll be simply going to use my this list, that is list 1. and it is giving me 9, and 9 is the correct answer. So what we are doing, we have used a single loop only, but we was just replacing the values. Same thing that we have seen till now, from the day 1 to the day 3, right? So these two questions are like interviewers has asked. These are the most repeated question in interview. Find the second largest and do this bubble sort, right? And count the words and all, and check the palindrome that I have just shown you. Okay. Okay, guys. So do you have any kind of a confusion, guys, or do you have any kind of a question? The question can be related to anything. If you want to ask something about the job or anything, like any kind of a question or any kind of a doubt, if you guys have, so please ask me. Yes, Fibonacci series they can ask, but it is like way too old, so nobody asked that. Not Fibonacci series you should cover, but I'm not sure that much about it, that whether they'll be going to ask you or not, because it has been repeated multiple times and it is a very old thing. That's why. Very basic questions. Let's just say about Python, that why Python is good as compared to other, what are libraries in Python, what are the data types in Python, okay, what is the difference between list and tuple, are dictionary mutable or immutable, can we store this thing, can we store duplicate data in dictionary or not, okay, what are decorators in Python, what are the advantage of using function in Python, what is for loop, what is while loop. Very basic question they'll be going to ask you. Bhavesh, sometimes only data structures will ask, but not that much. Nobody asks data structure these days, I don't think. But if you'll be going to go with Google, Fang and all, so at that time they'll be Mang and all, sorry, so at that time they'll be going to ask you. Okay, Master Art, what you can basically do, try to follow LinkedIn, try to follow Internshala, okay, Internshala, Internshala, and you can even apply on Naukri. All these three resources are really good. For sure, you'll be going to receive a call. Yes, even in data analysis interview, they will ask you the same question related to Python, because where you will be going to do data analysis on coding only, right? No, they will ask you question from MySQL, like what is select query, what is right joint, what is left joint. Joint they majorly ask in SQL. Thank you, Master Art. Really, thank you. Because just see, I have gone through all of these things. So that's why I just want that all the problems that I have faced, I don't want others to face same kind of a problem. So that's why all the things that I have learned from my life, all the things I'm basically sharing over here. Okay, guys, so I can basically say this is it for today's session. Okay, this was the last thing. All the things that I have shown you, that was the like from basic to advanced, we have learned multiple things. Okay, bootcamp for SQL for sure, Sonali. Sonali. Just do one thing. Yesterday session, like Let's Upgrade team was there for introducing this WhatsApp channel and all. So over there, you can just share this thing that they should like conduct a bootcamp for SQL and all. Master Art, just do same thing, guys, same thing, all the things. If you want some kind of a course, some interaction and all, just do one thing. Go on that WhatsApp channel, like yesterday they have shared in the chat, it will be there. So just try to join that channel and just try to share your thoughts, that do you want one-to-one interaction and SQL this thing. Yeah, mini project assignments, everything will be like you have to share over there only, because if Let's Upgrade will going to conduct it, for sure I'll be always there for you. Okay. Okay, guys. So I can basically say this is it for this boot camp, and we have learned a lot of things from very basic to advanced also. Okay, some interview questions I have shared to you. So just try to revise these things and just try to do practice from your own. What you are saying? 30, just do one thing. Same thing I'll be going to share, same thing I'll be going to tell to all of you guys, that you have to mention these things on the WhatsApp channel of Let's Upgrade. Okay. Okay, guys. So thank you very much. Take care, guys. Bye bye. Thanks for joining, guys. Bye.